So welcome, folks. This is the Festival Announcement Town Hall for the 37th Annual Festival of New Musicals. My name is Frankie Daly. I am NAMT's New Works Director. This is one of the most exciting years of the festival ever, I think. We have 17 writers to meet today, including 6 festival alumni, even 2 who this year are becoming 4-time NAMT festival writers. And not only that, but this year we have projects that have been funded through NAMT's Frank Young Fund for New Musicals. We have mentor teaching artists from NAMT's Musical Theater Songwriting Challenge for high school students, as well as new to NAMT composers and playwrights who we're excited to welcome into the National Alliance for Musical Theater. And so if there's anything that I hope that this festival season can show us, it's that we are an alliance and we're proud to be a community that comes back home as much as it supports new voices as well. So thanks so much for being here with us today. Let's say hello to a few members of the NAMT staff. Let's go ahead and start with Skycone Ivy.
Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for being here today. I'm Skycone Ivy. I use she and aya pronouns. I'm one of the NAMT festival producers, and I'm also the New Works Associate.
Amazing. And let's head over to Adam.
Hi, I'm Adam Grossworth. I'm NAMT's Member Services Director, and I use he, him pronouns.
Awesome. And do we have Emily?
Yes, I'm here. Hi, I'm Emily Vortherms. She, her, I am NAMT's Operations and Communications Associate. So lovely to see you all. Very excited for this year.
And let's hear from Justin next.
Hello, my name is Justin Cantu. I use he, him pronouns, and I am NAMP's Development Manager.
And Tabitha, you're up.
Hi, my name is Tabitha, and I'm a new intern here at NAMT.
Amazing. And last but certainly not least, let's hear from our Executive Director, Betsy King Militello.
Hi, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm Betsy King Militello. I'm NAMT's Executive Director. I just repeated exactly what Frankie said. But I've been accused of forgetting to introduce myself, so I guess 2 times is better than 0 times. I just want to, on behalf of all of us at NAMT, thank you for being here. Thank you for being part of our community. Thank every one of you, whether you're with NAMT for the first time, whether you're a longtime member, you're all playing a role in keeping the musical theater field moving forward, so we thank you for that. NAMT is a member services arts organization, and we take service to mean very actively working every day to understand what the needs of our members are and what the needs of the field are. And the festival is a critical part of that. We do have lots of activities, 365 days a year. We have 2 conferences, we have 2 granting programs, we have newsletters and webinars and workshops, and the Musical Theater Songwriting Challenge for high school students. And Tabitha's being a little shy when she says she's just a new program intern. She's actually one of our 2024 musical theater songwriting winners. So we are delighted to welcome her this summer to work with us. So we're busy all year round. The festival, in fact, is also busy all year round. It is actually a 366-day-a-year process, as we open applications the first day of the prior year's festival. So as we work towards the 37th Annual Festival of New Musicals, today is a big day for us. The festival plays a really vital and central role in the life of the field. It is the largest developmental showcase. It brings together, we expect probably 900 people this year, and they are there because they care about musical theater today, they care about it the future, and they are there because they want to meet the shows and the writers who they can then work with. So just to give a little bit of perspective, and we keep track of this statistic on an ongoing basis, 85% of the work that has come through the festival has gone on to some additional development in a variety of ways as a direct result of the festival. So there really is, catalyst is a word in our mission statement, and the festival is very much about that. You are not here to listen to me. So I am going to leave it there, and I look forward to getting to know all of this year's writers. And I want to welcome everyone who's here to meet them as well. And I believe I'm turning it back over to Frankie.
That's correct. You're not here to listen to me either, but you're gonna for a little bit longer. The Festival of New Musicals is a yearly event every October at New World Stages here in New York City. The festival this year is a coming together of hundreds of producers and presenters, artistic and executive staffers at NAMT member organizations, also including investors and donors, educators, developers, artists, and creative administrators from all corners of the world in celebration of 8 new musicals that have been selected from a competitive process. Last year, over 875 industry professionals joined us from all around the globe for the Festival of New Musicals, which makes it one of the largest professional development and networking events for musical theater creators around the world. This year, the 37th Annual Festival of New Musicals will be on October 23rd and 24th, and registration is now open for industry members at namp.org/festival. The Festival of New Musicals received 537 submissions this year, and today you're going to meet the 17 writers of the 8 musicals that have been selected by this year's festival committee. And I want to take a quick moment to thank our festival committee and especially the leadership from our chairs of our festival committee. This year, they are co-chair Kathleen Rinn of Syracuse University in New York, co-chair Matt Morrow of Center Repertory Company in California, and Chair Emerita Sharon Fallon of Sharon Fallon Productions in New York City. So thank you very much to them. I think we actually maybe have our viewers with us today. And if they are, I'm going to put them on the spot. We do. So let's send it over to Kathleen, our co-chair, to say some quick words first.
Hi, it's so great to see you all. I first just want to say thank you to the writers who are here. It was such a pleasure to get to spend time with your work, and we're so honored to be able to produce it this year. And I also would like to just continue what Frankie was saying and extend a thank you as well to the rest of the festival committee and all of the readers who diligently worked through those 537 shows to get us to where we are today. I couldn't be more excited, so thank you for joining us.
Amazing. And Sharon, you too.
Hello, everybody. This is always very exciting because we spend from, I think, January through June reading your scripts and getting to know a lot of writers. And the process is incredibly enjoyable and incredibly hard to get to the 8. So I'm incredibly, I'm going to keep saying that word, excited to see you all here and meet you a little bit and meet you future when you're in for the festival. So thank you for being a participant and allowing us to present your work.
Amazing. Thank you, Sharon. Thank you, Kathleen. Thank you to all of our chairs and our whole festival committee as well. We had a record number of festival screeners this year also. These 85 important members of the selection process are tasked with making sure that all shows are reviewed closely in round 1. NAMT members, alumni, artists, and guest professionals joined us as festival screeners this year, so I also want to take a moment and thank them profusely as well. Participating in the NAMT selection process is a volunteer gig. And we couldn't be more thankful for the expertise and enthusiasm by this group to take such good care of these artists. So reminder again that the festival will take place on October 23rd and 24th this year. The NAMT Fall Conference, however, which makes up the first half of our fall events week, will take place on October 21st and 22nd. So the Tuesday and Wednesday of that week. So to tell you more about that and a few more details about registration, I'm going to pass it over to Member Services Director Adam Grossworth.
Sorry, there's a really cute dog on the screen. I don't know how you expect me to talk about the conference, but so yes, as Frankie said, it's a big week of NAMT. Immediately preceding the festival is the Fall Conference. That is open to NAMT members and sponsors. And registration for that is also open on our website on the same handy-dandy form as the festival. So you can make it a whole big week of NAMT. At the Fall Conference, we sort of talk about the business side of making the art before we spend 2 days watching your art. And we had an amazing committee meeting today, and we'll have more to report about the agenda sometime next week. And so that's all I'm going to say about that right now. But we got some really great ideas, and I think it's going to be an amazing 2 days of conversation. The 2 things I will say about the agenda: we're doing something new this year. We are adding a board roundtable to the mix. So NAMT members on this call, if you have board members who are really engaged or want to get more engaged, or you want them to get more engaged, you'll have the option to, you always have the option to bring them to the whole conference and the festival, but you'll have a new option this year for a Wednesday morning roundtable style series of sessions that will be just for them. And then they can join us for breakfast, join us for lunch, do those sessions, and then go off and see a matinee, and then come to the festival on Thursday and Friday is our plan there. And also, the conference is the first opportunity for NET members to, well, this is the first opportunity, but a special pre-festival opportunity to meet all of you wonderful writers. So you guys will join us on day 2 of that for a Meet the Writer session, which everybody will learn more about later. The other really exciting conference news that I'm really happy to share is we're the new to us venue this year. We'll be at the New York Public Library for the Performing Arts at Lincoln Center. And I just think that will be a great place to spend 2 days with all of you in a hub of art and culture on the Upper West Side. It's going to be really fun, and I'm really excited that they will be hosting us. So there's more on the website. You'll get more in your email as we announce those details, and registration is open.
Awesome, thank you. So we also have a few supplemental programs that support the festival and share in the professional development opportunities. So to tell you more about applications opening for the Festival Emerging Artists Program, as well as the upcoming afternoon supplemental programs for the festival, I'll pass it over to festival producer and NAMT New Works Associate, Sky Cohn-Ivy.
Yes, so our Festival Emerging Artists Program provide unparalleled opportunities for early to mid-career professionals to gain hands-on experience and foster their growth in the musical theater industry. We do these through 2 key programs. These are our Festival Line Producer Residencies and the Festival Creative Assistantship. So applications for both of those programs will open tomorrow. You can find out more info on our website at namt.org. If you're looking for even more out of your festival experience, you'll want to stay tuned for more info to come about the festival afternoon events. You might remember last year that we introduced road trip preview events for a glimpse inside NAMT member new musicals programs. So we're excited to do that again this year, but with College Road Trip. College Road Trip will take you on a tour through previews of new musical programs from NAMT academic members at colleges and universities. Each day will feature 2 afternoon college road trip slots, and you'll get to know more about those organizations and their programs. Much more info to come on that, so stay tuned. A special edition of Songwriter Showcase is slated to return as well, so keep an eye out for more information about what projects will be highlighted there. And finally, the festival closing night party will be back and packed. This is a fantastic time to share space with festival artists and NAMT members alike, so make sure you select a Premier Pass and add the party to your registration.
All right, those are all of our announcements. So that's officially the pre-show package, and we're going to get into the real thing here. So I will introduce each of our festival musicals and its creators, and then I'll pass the microphone over to the writers, and they'll say hello to you, and they'll let you know a little bit more about their musicals and their plans for the festival as well. So let's go ahead and get started with our first musical. So I'm thrilled to introduce the team behind Alice Bliss. So that's Karen Hartman, Jenny Gearing, and Adam Guan. Come on up, folks.
Hey everybody, I think I'm kicking things off. My name is Adam Guan. I'm the lyricist for the musical Alice Bliss. You caught me on vacation, so I'm zooming in from a very fancy chair in Provincetown, Massachusetts. But I'm so excited to be here and to tell you a little bit about our show. Alice Bliss is based on a novel by Laura Harrington, which is set in 2007 in upstate New York. 15-year-old Alice Bliss is preparing for a perfect 10th grade year when her dad is unexpectedly deployed as part of the Iraq War troop surge. Alice is determined to keep her dad safe by shouldering her way through the year, driving lessons, first love, and all that. But inside, she's furious with no one to take it out on but her mom, Angie. When her dad is reported missing, the rift between Alice and Angie cracks open and Alice spins dangerously out of control. Both Alice and her mom must learn that to survive a world full of uncertainty, they must find their way back to one another before it's too late. Our musical Alice Bliss is a rich and relatable look at a family and a community blown by the distant political winds of war. And you can read and hear more about it on the NAMT website. With that, I will pass things over to our book writer, Karen Hartman.
Thanks, Adam. Yes, I'm Karen Hartman. I'm coming to you from Brooklyn. I wanted to be the one to talk about our style and tone because so much of the power of our musical rests in our composer Jenny Gearing's expansive, richly harmonic, like pop inflected score, which opens into these oceanic melodies that just carry you. And then in comes Adam Kwan with these clean, easy lyrics that kind of ride the melodic waves like little toy boats on a big ocean. And I would say, in a way, that style is also our theme, which is that right now, as humans, as Americans, we are living out our precious little lives, but we're also tossed around by enormous changes that we don't control. So, one minute you're prom shopping, and the next minute there's a knock at the door. So I feel like Alice Bliss really bites down on that vast uncertainty that's with all of us right now, and also these just straight up basic bonds that become our life rafts. So I want to turn it to Jenny Gearing, our composer.
Thank you so much, Karen. I'm going to talk about just the genesis of the show and where we've been and where we'd like to go. But I just want to say that everybody knows that the show rises and falls on the book. And the book is exquisite. So there. So Alice Bliss, the musical has had a bit of a windy, funny genesis. The original character of Alice appeared in the musical Laura Harrington and I wrote on commission for Suffolk University. It was called Crossing Brooklyn. It was also done by Transport Group in New York City. Alice landed on the cutting room floor after the first production, but we were really intrigued by her. But Laura still wasn't really done with Alice, so she decided to explore her in novel form. That book, entitled Alice Bliss, was published by Penguin Random House. And when I read the book, I thought, oh my God, this book is a musical. I had an outstanding commission from Playwrights Horizons, and I used it to turn Laura's into a musical. Adam Guan signed on to pen the lyrics, and Mark Brokaw became our director. Eventually, Laura left the project to pursue novel writing full-time, and Karen on board to rewrite the book and create the musical we have today. Over the years, we've been lucky enough to have so many development opportunities, including the Mercer Colony at Goodspeed, the Weston Playhouse Writers Retreat, Rhinebeck Writers Retreat, the Orchard Project, and the New Works Festival. We were at TheaterWorks. Unfortunately, we lost 2 world premiere productions, so our hope for the festival is to find another regional who will help us bring our show to life. Maybe a commercial producer after that. And on a personal note, I just want to say on behalf of the team that we are dedicating our production to our dear, dear director, Mark, who passed away less than 2 weeks ago. Yeah, so that's us.
Thank you so much, Jenny. Thank you, Karen. Thank you, Adam. And welcome Alice Bliss to the festival lineup. Let's step forward to our next team. I'm thrilled to introduce to you Chris Nee, Michael Kuhlman, and Chris Diamond to tell you about their musical Finn.
Hello, I'm Michael Kuhlman. I'm the composer of Finn.
And I'm Chris Diamond. I'm the co-book writer and co-lyricist of Finn.
And I'm Chris Nee, also co-book and lyrics for Finn. And fun fact, we all started working together because of NAMT. I created a show called Doc McStuffins at Disney and was starting on my second Disney series called Vampirina. We needed songwriters. After seeing Michael and Chris's musical, The Noteworthy Life of Howard Barnes in the 2014 festival, 2 of my Disney executives came back and said, we had to try out this team, Kuhlman and Diamond. The audition song that they wrote for Vampirina was perfect. We used it in the pilot episode, and Chris, Michael, and I went on to collaborate on 3 full series together. We figure we've done about 250 songs together, including an all-musical episode of Vamp for which we were jointly nominated for an Emmy Award. Along the way, I won the Peabody Award, which Michael and Chris are making me say. I've been nominated for 20 Emmy Awards and I've won 3. They are also making me say that. But the guys knew that for all of the pinch me moments in my career, the truth was I missed the theater. So when they asked me if I wanted to partner with them to write a new musical, I said an enthusiastic yes. Together, we created Finn. It was commissioned by the Kennedy Center, the OG Kennedy Center. It's important to note, where it premiered just in the nick of time, closing on December 23rd, 2024.
So the story of Finn is about a shark named Finn who is growing up in a shark pack that is very stoic, very aggressive, and very gray. After meeting a fish who introduces him to a very colorful, vibrant, expressive world of fish, Finn realizes that deep inside he may actually be a fish. The show is about growing up and not feeling like you fit in. The show is about finding your chosen family. It is a show about standing up for who you are and what you believe in, even if you're really, really scared. In a time when marginalized voices are being attacked and silenced, the story of Finn may actually be more relevant than when we started writing it a couple of years ago. The three of us are obviously very passionate about stories for young people, and we believe that theater for young audiences is just as important as theater for adults. And so we decided to take our anxieties and fears growing up and sort of mold and shape them into a story that we wish we had when we were kids. And the result of that is Finn.
The Kennedy Center production was an overwhelming success, both critically and financially. It quickly earned back its budget and even turned a profit. The show was such a success that the Kennedy Center decided to tour the show both in 2026 and 2027. However, when the Trump administration launched its hostile takeover of the Kennedy Center, Finn became the first casualty, and our tour was unceremoniously canceled. That story went viral, and Finn quickly became something of a symbol for the resistance, with the theater community in particular rallying around the show, ultimately resulting in a starry concert presentation at the Town Hall produced by Seth Rudetsky's Stars in the House and directed by Chris Gattelli. We are hoping that you will join us in that resistance and help us get the message of this show to as many kids out there as possible who need to hear it now more than ever. We're thrilled to be able to share the show with you at this year's NAMT Festival. We've also got a couple of exciting announcements concerning this piece, as well as our next project that we're hoping we will be able to talk to you about by the time the festival rolls around. Thank you so much for listening, and we look forward to talking to you all further at the festival.
Perfect. Thank you, Chris and Michael, and welcome, Finn. Let's step forward to our next musical to tell you more about the King of Harlem. Let's say hello to John Michael Lyles and David Gomez. Welcome.
Hi, y'all.
Hello.
I am John Michael Lyles. I use he, him, his pronouns. I'm very excited to be here. I'm from Mesquite, Texas, but now I live in Harlem. I'm a multi-hyphenate creative. I have been lucky enough to originate 2 roles on Broadway, Thought 3 in A Strange Loop, and Eli in The Heart of Rock and Roll. And I'm also a writer. I've got my debut EP coming out this summer called How to Stay Bright. And I am co-writing the book, music, and lyrics to The King of Harlem with David Gomez.
Hi, I'm David, he, him, his. I'm originally from Kansas City, where I'm beaming into you now from. I'm a composer, lyricist, and librettist, and a passionate arts educator. Some of my work is geared at younger audiences, but I primarily am a musical theater writer, and I love working with collaborators who wear lots of hats, and John Michael wears so many of them wonderfully. And in this collaboration, I compose on piano and he composes on guitar. And yeah, why don't you tell us how this origin of King of Harlem got started, John Michael?
Gladly. So David and I actually went to college together. We went to Pace University. That's where we got our BFA. And we also took a bunch of musical theater writing courses, and that's where we started collaborating. But then randomly, we ended up in this Spanish theater course that we really, really loved. And so naturally, we spent part of the semester learning about this man named Federico Garcia Lorca. And I showed up to college like already loving Lorca because I had done a production of Blood Wedding in high school. But there was something that I didn't know about Lorca, and that fact was that he was a gay man. And as we all know, it's hard out here for a gay man in the 1920s and 30s. And so David and I were really moved when we found out about that because his three hit tragedy plays center around themes of unrequited love. And so when we found out that he was, navigating his own relationship with unrequited love and queerness in the 1920s, it just like made us weep when we were so moved and inspired by this man. But then we learned something else. We learned that he studied at Columbia University in 1929. So he was like dorming in Harlem in 1929, which is iconic. And we were like, I smell a musical here. And he wrote a book of poems called Poet in New York. And there was one poem in particular called El Rey de Harlem, which translates to the King of Harlem. And this poem was very like Black specific. It was very like apocalyptic and like raging against the capitalist machine of America. And we were like, this is the inspiration for our musical. And so we used that poem. We knew we had Lorca, but we needed a protagonist for our gay love story. And so from that poem, we built our protagonist, Mercy Wheatley. And David is going to tell you more about the plot and the score.
Yeah. So King of Harlem follows the story of Mercy Wheatley, who's this up-and-coming prize fighter who's engaged to marry a woman, but after a chance encounter with Federico Garcia Lorca on Riverside Drive, Mercy is forced to choose between the truth of his gay desire and the hyper-masculine ideal, perfect-like image he's created for himself as the King of Harlem. And as the two are falling in love, it's the height of the Harlem Renaissance, and they go to lots of fun parties and learn and grow from each other and also have to overcome some cultural and language barrier differences. The score is a little bit like the love story in that it's set in the world of Harlem jazz, but our two characters aren't from New York. Mercy's from Tulsa, Oklahoma, and has come to New York to achieve his dreams. And so the score for him is a sort of southern fried, bluesy acoustic guitar sound. And Federico, being from Spain, it has this flamenco Spanish folk edge to the score. And he also, well, being a playwright, he wrote a few like little songs and melodies. And so we've woven them in as a kind of little Valentine to him in the score. And just kind of like the lovers, it's exciting to see the way these influences come together and hear what happens musically when the worlds collide.
We are excited about a lot of things in regard to our musical, but one thing that we find particularly exciting is that the poem that inspired it, the Lorca himself and Harlem and the Harlem Renaissance, happened in 1929. And accept it or not, we are fast approaching the 100-year anniversary. So we need to put on our hyaluronic acid because we're but I'm really excited about that because, I live in Harlem, so I walk on the very streets that Lorca was walking, that Mercy would have walked on, where these gay men were like, having seedy love affairs on Riverside Drive. And so our hope for the 100-year anniversary is that we can have a production of the show and audiences can watch it and queer people can ask themselves, okay, if I lived 100 years ago, how hard would I have fought for love? Would I have chosen safety or romance? Would I have chosen economic stability or passion? Would I have used my art to make a dollar or to make a difference? And to be clear, we're hoping that our musical can do both. And we are very, very excited to share it with you all.
Yeah. And I also just wanted to shout out NAMT itself, like just being invited into this group. And it's such a great sense of community. But our very last development opportunity, we saw these wonderful college students from Montclair doing our very last draft in the winter. And so it's so wonderful to just know that we've been welcomed into this community and that you all have helped us get to this next draft. So that's really awesome. We are so looking forward to getting to meet all of you at the festival. And yeah, if you want more information about King of Harlem, you can go through the beautifully designed NAMT website. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome to the festival, King of Harlem and David and John Michael. Let's jump to our next musical. Next up, we've got Love is Dead. And to tell you more about it is Brett Rybeck and Jeff Lupino Esposito.
What's up, everybody? So happy to be here. I'm calling in from LA right now. I'm Jeff Lupino Esposito. I use he, him pronouns.
And I'm Brett Ryback, currently calling in from Chicago, but normally in LA. Also use he, him pronouns. And we are the writers of Love is Dead, a comedy about a heartbroken woman and a sexy ghost.
That's right. Our main character, Jordan, has just gone through a really awful breakup. So she goes to spend a long weekend up in the Hudson Valley, sort of a bit of a life reset moment. She discovers that her Airbnb, her rental, is haunted by an obnoxious and obnoxiously attractive ghost named Cody.
Her life is falling apart. His already did. What begins as a battle of wills blossoms into mutual affection and supernatural sexual experimentation between woman and ghost. And maybe together they can overcome the existential horror of dating and romance in the modern age.
It is a horror. As two happily married guys, we are so delighted to not have to navigate that, but we feel for our characters, and we are so excited to be bringing the show to NAMT. We actually, in many ways, wrote it with NAMT in mind. We were trying to create something specifically for theaters with smaller spaces that still wanted to program original shows. This is a 100-minute musical comedy with only 3 actors. So we think that's really appealing. You think of some comps, some shows we think about, like 39 Steps, Gutenberg the musical, or Murder for Two, which I saw off Broadway and was actually the start of my longstanding relationship with Jeff Blumenkrantz.
And me, Jeff.
Were you the other guy?
Yeah, I don't know why I keep having to remind you of that.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I'm gonna remember. I'm gonna remember before October. So apparently we met back then. But let me tell you about us as a writing team since then. So our first collaboration was this documentary style musical podcast called In Strange Woods. So a true crime-ish. You could listen to it on Apple Podcasts and Spotify now. It got a lot of great critical attention from the New York Times, Guardian, Wall Street Journal, BBC, and Playbill.com still hasn't responded to our email requesting coverage.
But we're hoping. After that, we wrote a musical screenplay together because it was the pandemic and, we thought live theater was dead and that film production in LA was the future. And we were wrong, and we know that now.
Yes, we regret that. We are back on the stage. That brought us to writing Love is Dead. It's this over-the-top comedy with a quirky, pop-forward, contemporary musical theater score.
The music takes inspiration from like 90s era Ben Folds, Alanis Morissette, Third Eye Blind, and it kind of mixes them together with classic musical theater references like Ahrens and Flaherty, Alan Menken, and even the Sherman Brothers, all filtered through our warped sense of humor and joy in surprising the audience as much as we can.
Right. So what motivated this story? I hinted at it earlier, the challenges of modern romance and dating, and in many ways, we wrote the piece to playfully poke fun at some of our eternally single friends who suffer through that scene. Because we are terrible at confrontation, it felt easier to write a musical, get it produced, and then invite them all to the show instead of just talking to them, maybe gently shaking them and shouting, "Love is supposed to be fun. Stop taking everything so seriously."
Last year, we did a great Equity 29-hour reading of our show at Coachella Valley Rep in Palm Springs, which was hugely valuable for our development process and very informative because the average audience member in Palm Springs is 78 and a half years old.
Yeah, that's technically true. And it was actually really useful because we were a little worried at first. Like, would our contemporary comedic sensibility, would it work with that crowd with all ages? And honestly, they loved it. It assured us that our piece would resonate with all audiences and that no matter how old you are, you can still be horny for a ghost.
Yeah, that never goes away. And that's why we wanted to bring this show to as many audiences as we can. And that's what we want to get out of this NAMT experience. We could see a major regional premiere or even a limited commercial off-Broadway run in our future, but we are honestly open to everything. We want to work with you. We want this to be produced. We want audiences to run to tell their friends about this crazy, irreverent, painfully relatable date night show that they have to go see.
Yes, we can't wait to share the show with you. Feel free to follow us in the meantime on Instagram at loveisdead.musical. We'll be uploading videos there until the festival, and we look forward to meeting all of you, and we feel so lucky to be here. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Brett. And welcome, Love is Dead. Let's move on to our next one. Next, we have Selda Sahin, Autumn Reeser, and Derek Greger to tell you more about their musical Particle.
Hello, I am Selda Sahin, she, her pronouns. I live in New York City. Book and lyrics for Particle.
I'm Derek Greger, he, him pronouns. I'm the composer and co-book writer for Particle.
And I'm Autumn Reeser, she, her. I'm based out of Los Angeles, currently working on a movie in Ottawa, Canada, and I co-wrote the book for Particle.
I think I'm gonna start. Listen, I'm not as charming as Brett and Jeff were, so now I got really nervous when they were going. I was like, "Gosh, why am I not a performer by nature?" But I got this. Okay. So Particle is it's a coming of age story set in against the backdrop of esports. We follow Cora, who's a teenager who gets unexpectedly recruited onto a professional esports team. So she moves her life from Roswell, New Mexico to LA, leaving behind her twin brother and her mom. And while she's there, sort of trying to get settled in this new world where she's very out of place, her brother gets sick, and she spends most of the musical with one foot in the door with this new family she's created, and one foot at home with her biological family. And I'll let Autumn tell a little bit more about it.
Yeah, with Particle, what we really wanted to explore was sort of the multidimensional nature of love and the concepts of connection and separation, and how love is the most transcendent force that reaches across all time and space. So that's really the core of Cora, our protagonist in Particle.
And to speak to some of the musical styles of Particle, right out of the gate, I wanted to do something that had kind of an electronic feel and kind of lean into the tech gaming aspects of things. So it definitely has a lot of elements of an electro pop score, but then there's characters who are not related to the gaming world, especially the mother, who does not understand until deeper in the show why the heck everybody's obsessed with playing video games. She has this great line that they wrote where she says, I mean, I like bocce ball, but I don't play it all the time. So she has kind of a more folk country. There's a Miranda Lambert-esque song that she sings. And as Sada said, they live in Roswell, New Mexico. So they're in that part of the country. So I get to play with a lot of different styles of music in this show. And then in the world of the game, we find ourselves inside the world of the video game some of the time, especially at the end of the show. And that can be so many colors. It's almost endless. So I feel that we've done some exploration of what that sounds like. But I feel like when we team up with designers and really see what that vision is, the music is going to take a whole other left turn, which we don't know yet. Fun anecdote about the show. This is like specific, so I don't know. But I have a keyboard, a motif that has a sound called Particle. So before we had a title, we had just the bones of aspects of the show. I was playing on that keyboard this sprinkly synth particle sound. And then we kind of reverse engineered and just realized, well, we had these twins, and let's explore kind of quantum entanglement and how they're connected. And then the whole show became Particles. So many things were already there, but that thing pieced it all together. So just simply the name of a synth patch made its way into so much of the plot, and it's very connected.
I'll talk about the development we've had. So the three of us started working on this during COVID and via Zoom. And we sort of quickly finished a draft. And our first development was at Michigan State University. It was the first time three of us had been in person together since before the pandemic. And that was Brad Wilcuts, runs this program at Michigan State. Then about a year later, we went to Nazareth University with Nicolette Hart and Sean Michael Flowers. And then just this past March, we went up to Missouri State. Jess Ryan, who runs a company called Broadway Unlocked, co-produced a workshop that we did out there that Heather Llewellyn and Josh Young run the theater program out there. So we spent about 2 weeks, and that sort of led us to this most recent draft. So we've had cool people with us along the way.
One of the things that we think is so exciting about this musical is the sort of technological, mythic aspect of it. And we feel like there's so much to play with it in that space. And so our ideal result would be to bring on a creative producer who's just excited about that multidimensional nature of it and getting to play with it in a production design sense, and finding the right person to bring this into a full production so we can really feel the expansiveness of the story instead of just in a staged reading. And so that's our wish, and we're so grateful to be here and so excited to listen to all of your beautiful work as well. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you, Autumn. Thank you, Zelda. Thank you, Derek. And welcome, Particle. Let's step to our next one. We've got Jaime Lozano and Tommy Newman. We're going to tell you more about Roja.
Hola, good evening, buenas tardes. Mi nombre es Jaime Lozano. My pronouns are he, him, his, él in Spanish. Y soy el coescritor, compositor y letrista de Roja. And I am based out of New York, just swimming away, crossing the river in Union City, New Jersey.
And my name is Tommy Newman, he, him, él. I am also a book writer and composer-lyricist for Roja, y vivo en Alabama, donde imparto clases en La Troy University. Down here in Alabama, where some things are wonderful and some things are not so wonderful, but here we are nonetheless.
We have been working on this project off and on for the last 3 years, and we are so excited to be able to share it now with the amazing NAMT community.
That story is deeply personal, I think, for both of us as fathers.
And as human beings for whom death and grief han dejado deep cicatrices in our hearts.
Roja fuses traditional Mexican folk music and mestizo folklore, offering a new twist on Little Red Riding Hood.
In our show, 14-year-old Roja lives with her mother on a struggling farm at the edge of the Mexican desert, maybe close to the border. And after her father's death, the landowner diverts all the water to his own hacienda, threatening the family's survival.
And when Roja saves a mischievous magical coyote, he offers her a chance to see her father again, if she completes 3 tasks for La Señora de los Huesos, the Lady of Death.
And along the way, when they create trouble for the landowner, and Roja bonds with her mother, uncovering the true meaning of miracles, what milagros means in the real world.
This idea was born from our desire both to share a narrative that reflects the immigrant experience in a positive and empowering light, especially for future generations.
I was born and raised in Mexico. I'm a Mexican immigrant trying to survive in this beautiful but very challenging city, New York City. And I consider my mission to tell stories that honor our heritage and that portray my people not only from the lens of struggle, but also through joy and magic and beauty and resilience that help to shape who we are. Writing this story is a way to offer to my son, who is a Mexican-American, and it's very challenging to raise a Mexican-American. You know, sometimes we feel like in between, as you can notice with my accent, I go from English to Spanish and from Spanglish to English, and sometimes I don't find the right word, and I have to switch to the other languages. But I want him to know that that's okay. I mean, that he's both, that he can speak both languages, that he's a reflection of these 2 cultures together, and that this makes us stronger. And I want to celebrate the beauty and the wisdom of both cultures together.
For us, this story is a celebration of the miracles of everyday life, and it is all about an affirmation of the strength that we carry with us, no matter where we come from both sides. Jaime and I have known each other for a long, long time and been writing together, and it's just so beautiful to be considered a part of his family and for him to be a part of mine. So even with all of this, we just love writing together.
Yeah, I think that one of the things that you can see in the show is that we are putting honesty and heart before everything else. Besides the craft or the storytelling, I think that where you're gonna see something that's very, very honest. Roja is an original one-act bilingual Mexican folk musical with a cast of 4 actors, 2 female to male presenting, and it was written with the hope the audiences of all ages and backgrounds, even the story is specifically portrayed by Latina performers, anyone can relate and follow along the story.
Our show can be presented on a unit set with the small band on stage. We like the idea of it being very theatrical, where you know, a very little bit of the art is hidden from the audience. We like to see, you know, the show happening in front of the art happening in front of us. The actors in the band make the sound design, the story as the story is being told, and the whole production should feel a bit homemade and kind of organic.
Our intentions are to keep it small and easy to produce. The cast should be, as I mentioned before, exclusively Latina, especially Mexican, where it's possible, because this is a show about Mexico. Mexico is, and Mexican music is an important character in this story, and as much as it's embracing your identity as Mexican and Latina. And the orchestra is primarily driven by acoustic guitars as opposed to piano and drums. Everything, as Tommy said before, is very organic, very natural, and we felt that having the sound with guitars and this kind of music add a lot of to the storytelling.
And it's been such a different and exciting experience working on that with Jaime, because he's such a wonderful guitar player, which has been, you know, very different. So, because everything that I have created, at least so far, has been sort of central to the piano. And it's just been a really interesting and exciting process. We've been very fortunate to have a bit of attention on this piece in the last few months, as it was awarded a Pipeline Arts Foundation grant to help us with the development of the show. It was $20,000 to use as we see fit in order to produce the show and to move it forward. It was also included in this summer's Rhinebeck Writers Retreat, which we will be heading up there in the next couple of weeks. We're excited to be able to do that. We'll be working on some adjustments to the material and also thinking about what we'll be moving forward with NAMT.
And actually, Roja, we start working on Roja when we were doing a show upstate at a beautiful place called Forestburg Playhouse. We were doing performances of another show of us, El Otro Os. And when doing there, Tommy and I came with the idea for this show, and we wrote the very first song up there like 4 years ago. And they were so generous and so supportive of our work that they even created a special residency that they didn't have before. And we went back to the woods in Forestburg to write the whole show. And then a few months later, we were part of their In the Woods festival. And it was like 2 years ago, if I don't remember. Yeah, I guess. And then after that, we also have the support from the new group to do a table reading here in Manhattan. And we have been since then like rewriting and shaping this so we can like take it to the best place.
Our objectives for the NAMT Festival for our show is that we would get some exposure in hopes that we might find a few producing partners, regional and commercial interests, anything that will help to move the show forward. We've got some questions about development of this piece in various kinds of venues, because we think that the piece and the story really holds a lot of potential for growth, but we also want to make sure that it continues to be producible in the way that it needs to be producible. But it really depends on who our collaborators are in the next steps of this piece's journey.
That's why we want to embrace producers as collaborators who help us to shape what is the best way to tell the story next. We strongly believe in rewriting and development. We love developing shows. We have lots of ideas, but we believe that collaboration and partnership is what we really need right now. And we feel this show has a lot to offer to our communities. Thank you for having us. We look forward for being able to share this beautiful show. I mean, it's my show. Of course, I say it's beautiful. That's our show. That's more than beautiful, actually, more than beautiful. And it means so much to us and to the people, to the audience that we have the pleasure to share it with. So we are very grateful to be here, and gracias por invitarnos.
Yes, thank you so much for having us. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you, Tommy. Thank you, Jaime, and welcome, Roja. Next up, we have Kevin Wong, who's going to tell us about his musical Soft Magical Tofu Boys.
Hi, everyone. My name is Kevin Wong, and I am a composer, lyricist, and occasional dramaturg, and I guess unwilling book writer, coming at you from Toronto, Canada, where I'm actually surrounded by, on all stages, the Toronto Fringe right now, where I am about to go host an event for them. Soft Magical Tofu Boys, I am the book writer, lyricist, and composer for this piece, which I don't recommend, many of you know. It's a musical that focuses on three Gaysian brothers who live in the suburbs together with a useless magical ability to conjure images and sounds into the air. The eldest brother, Kenneth, is a low-paid lawyer trying to get his brothers in line before their magic goes awry and possibly poisons them. It's a musical that I started writing in 2022 as part of a commission by the Toronto-based company, the Musical Stage Company, who have commissioned and developed and supported this piece along with Fujian Asian Canadian Theatre Company through a series of workshops. Last year, I got to take the piece to the Eugene O'Neill Theatre Centre as part of the 2024 National Music Theatre Conference, where I would say the plot and clarity of the piece really broke open for me the first time. And I'm super excited that at this stage, I get to bring this piece to New York to share it with all of you. The style of the show is very much based in my deep teenage and childhood love for the music and cultural milieu of the 90s and 2000s. So the score is very much a love letter to the pop and R&B I grew up with: Mariah Carey, Brandy, Monica, Whitney Houston, Shanice, and Janet Jackson, as well as things like the Sailor Moon anime theme song, the Pokemon theme song, and very much feels like I'm taking a deep part of something I've known all along how to do and putting it into musical theater for the first time. After about 9 shows, it took me a little bit. And thematically, the reason I wanted to start writing this show is because someone once said that every writer ends up writing some sort of the house I grew up in musical. And similarly, it took a couple of years of therapy and 8 other shows, some of which were successful and many of which were not, for me to finally get up the courage to write my house I grew up in musical. It's not exactly autobiographical, but it contains a huge piece of what I love about humans, musical theater, the culture I grew up in, and even parts of myself that I was afraid to tackle, like being Chinese Canadian and queer altogether. And I wanted to write a piece that very specifically thematically took a look at the narratives that we absorb from the world about who we need to be in order to survive, and when those narratives stop becoming useful and when it might be time to slough those things off. My hope for the festival is I've only really worked for the most part in Toronto, and so I would love to meet as many theater companies, producers, potential production partners. Canadians are very polite sometimes and a little bit shy. I'm very shy. And so I'm going to try to step out of my comfort zone a little bit to meet as many people as I possibly can at this festival. And I hope that if you like the work and me, you will also say hello. I would love to eventually get this piece to a developmental production, but I would also welcome a lot of other developmental steps along the way and the opportunity to partner on this and future pieces. I think that's everything. Thanks so much.
Brilliant. Thanks, Kevin, and welcome to Soft Magical Tofu Boys. Let's head on to our last one for this afternoon. This is Wakeman, and Jen Greinels is going to tell us more about it.
Hi. Oh my gosh. I'm so nervous. Okay. What do I want to say? The show's called Wakeman. It has been referred to as the Rosetta Project in the past too. I am the reluctant book writer as well, and then also music and lyrics. And this started quite a few years ago. I studied musical theater in college, then I was a tap dancing musical theater performer for a while, then I got sick of tap dancing and focused on singer-songwriter life, and went around and, put out lots of albums and sang and did all that stuff. And one day, a friend called and said, "Do you know Brandy Carlisle or have her phone number?" And I said, "No." And he said, "Okay, well, you're our second choice. So we have this idea for a musical, and why don't you read the subject matter and let us know what you think and give it a shot." And the the material and what this musical is about is it's based on the actual historical letters of a person named Sarah Rosetta Wakeman, who in 1862 left home presenting as a male and joined the Union Army and fought in the Civil War and died, sorry, spoiler, and was never discovered. And they were buried as their alias, which was Lyons Wakeman. And all of these letters home were put up in an attic and never talked about. And in the 70s, in the 1970s, the letters were discovered by descendants and published in a book. So this musical is inspired by those letters, and as well as research about other women that fought in the Civil War. But the main part of it are these letters that are so conventionally teenage, full of angst and searching for a place in the world. And these letters are just remarkable because they are so you just recognize them immediately. This is a teenager who is like, "I hate you, mom and dad. I love you, mom and dad. I miss you." It's just, you just recognize your own teenage angst in them. And you can't believe they're from the 1800s. And you can relate to this person just trying to find their joy. So immediately I wanted to write music that everybody would see their own story in the lyrics. I think that's the important gist of it. And the style is very Americana and rock, and I didn't totally succeed, but I tried to write music that could be taken maybe outside of the musical theater context and still be enjoyed by really large audiences. But the other really cool thing about this musical that I think is unique, that I realized that it was very, very important to incorporate these letters verbatim into the script. So they are 99.999% verbatim, so that the actual words of this individual are being shared. And what else? I have a visual. So this is alias Lyons Wakeman. And this is a vinyl of I took the demos that I wrote that started this whole thing and made on GarageBand and put them on a vinyl. And so that's my thing I'm talking about, is that as a fundraiser to help me do this musical, I'm selling 100 of those vinyl with the original GarageBand demos that will, I think, be soon forgotten, because every time a young person sings these songs, I lose my mind because they're so incredible and inspiring. So also, I want to give a shout out to my Patreon patrons, because so many of you are watching, and I've used Patreon to support writing this thing. And I think that's all. Oh.
Amazing. Thank you, Jen, and welcome Wakeman to the lineup. And folks, that is your festival season. So let's hear it one more time for our festival writers for the 37th Annual Festival of New Musicals. So thank you for being here. Let's hear it one more time for the writers. Reminder, festival October 23rd and 24th. Registration is now available, where you can also find out more about these writers and these musicals at namp.org/festival. So head on over there. Stay tuned for more announcements as well. We'll be announcing creative teams as we get further into the summer, as well as more information about college road trips and Songwriter Showcase, among many other things. So that's our show for today. Thanks again for being here, everyone. We'll talk to you soon.